What up, boys and girls derude, der eventuelt også må se med. Ja, who knows. Velkommen til endnu en reaktionsvideo, endnu en dag, endnu en reaktionsvideo. Okay, you know how we do. Vi skal i dag, well, som I kan se, have headsetet på, fordi vi skal reagere på Goal 90, som laver nogle vanvittigt fede compilations her på YouTube. Så ja, den hedder 10 Biggest Breakout Stars this season. Jeg er meget spændt på at se, hvad de har gemt i posten til os. Så ja, uden at spille så meget med tid, skal vi ikke bare komme i gang.
The 2022-23 season has announced some of the finest stars to the world. Some whose names we had never heard before. Let us now quickly look at the 10 biggest breakout stars in the football world this season.
Come on.
And we start with the latest Serie A champion, Vicha Kvaratskhelia.
Hvilket er vildt, fordi han var også i den anden compilation med bedste transfers. Så man har altså hentet en ung spiller ind, og han har bare slået igennem fuldstændig. Altså det er vanvittigt debutsæson for ham.
The skillful winger was signed by Napoli as a 21-year-old from Dinamo Batumi in Georgia at the beginning of the season for about 10 to 12 million euros. When Napoli bought him over, we're sure they didn't expect him to be this influential in just his first season. But the lad really hit the ground running, forming a deadly strike partnership with Victor Osimhen. And together, they helped hand Napoli their first Scudetto title since Maradona won it for them in 1990.
Det er så vildt. Jeg bliver ved med to this day og tænke, hvor kunne det bare have været fantastisk, hvis Maradona kunne få lov til at opleve det. Så ja, det er fandme trist, men Kvaratskhelia 100%
they call him Maradona. Yep. Meanwhile, at Arsenal, the breakout star this season was clearly William Saliba.
Okay.
The French centre-back was first signed.
Den er jeg lidt i tvivl om, fordi William Saliba, obviously har han været vanvittig for dem. Han har været klar i en faste spiller, og det er ikke tilfældigt at de faldt så meget af på den, efter han blev skadet. Men han var jo også god for Saint-Etienne i den franske liga, så det ved jeg ikke, altså det er ikke sådan rigtig overraskende for mig, at han vil være god. Måske også, at han vil være så god, men I don't know.
By Arsenal as an 18-year-old in 2019. But he was
måske
immediately sent out on loan, first to Saint Etienne, then to Nice, and then to Marseille. He was finally called back ahead of the
Men var det, okay, han har simpelthen
Saint Etienne, then to Nice, and then to Marseille.
For some reason, hvis jeg ikke, at det var, jeg tror kun, det var Saint Etienne, og så Nice. Han har simpelthen også været i Marseille. Okay, jeg kan ikke huske, hvem det var, han var hos sidste sæson. Faktum er bare, i den franske liga, spillede han godt i sidste sæson.
He was finally called back ahead of the 2022-23 season and was given his first start in the opening game of the campaign against Crystal Palace. There was pressure on him, but he put up a flawless performance which sent a message that he had come to stay. From there, Saliba just went on to establish himself as one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Speaking of centre-backs...
Jeg synes faktisk, det er vildt det der med Saliba, fordi jeg kan huske, der var så meget... Alt det der med sådan, man signede ham, og man brugte ham aldrig. Come on, Mikel Arteta, smid ham nu ind. Altså, brug ham nu på holdet, og så videre. Det der med, at han konstant blev lejet ud. Jeg kan huske, der var mange Arsenal-fans. Jeg kan huske, jeg kom med os, for bare at nævne et par stykker, var meget utilfreds med, hvordan det blev håndteret. Og når man så endelig ser ham komme ind på holdet, og faktisk gør det så godt, så kan man godt forstå, at Arsenal-fans ville ønske, at man havde gjort noget før. Men ja, altså, han har været god. Jeg ved bare ikke, om han skal være på den her type liste, men obviously har han været vanvittig den sæson.
We also
Men
have
Kim
to
Min
mention
Jae, den er også
Kim
spændende,
Min
ja.
Jae.
Allerede to Napoli-spillere på. Det er ikke tilfældigt.
Korean defender moved to Napoli from Fenerbahce last summer, and he just fit right into the team. He came in to replace Koulibaly, who left for Chelsea. And considering they got him for just 18 million euros, he was nothing short of a perfect replacement. He was so good that he was named Serie A Player of the Month in just his second month in the league. But even with how much of a breakout star he's been, Kim Min Jae is still not the biggest breakout star from Asia this season.
Okay.
You know why? Because a certain guy named Kaoru Mitoma exists.
Mitoma er nok den mest oplagte at have på sådan en liste her.
The Japanese winger was first signed by Brighton in 2021, but he was immediately loaned out to Union SG. He returned to Brighton last summer, but things didn't exactly take off immediately for him.
Nej, det er så
an
mærkeligt.
opportunity presented itself later in the season when Leandro Trossard fell out with Roberto De Zerbi.
Det er så random. Altså, de startede ud med, altså Graham Potter var der, Trossard spillede, all was good. Kommer De Zerbi ind. På det overvej, det er sådan, altså the turn of events, at det egentlig er gået fra, at Chelsea havde Tuchel, vi fyrer Tuchel, vi henter Graham Potter ind i stedet for, som gør, at Brighton henter De Zerbi ind, som gør, at Trossard tager til Arsenal, som gør, at Mitoma kan komme. Altså, fodbold er en vild verden, nogle gange, når man tænker over det.
The coach stopped using the Belgian and began to give Mitoma a chance. He quickly proved himself to be a very dazzling attacker. He was so good that Brighton felt confident enough to let Trossard go. This season, he inspired Brighton to the FA Cup semi-final and could still secure them a European spot next season.
Og det har de så gjort nu. De skal i Europa League. Crazy.
He also broke the record for most goals scored by a Japanese player in a single Premier League season. Oh, and let's not forget his famous cross at the World Cup against Spain, which indirectly knocked out Germany and helped Japan top a group which had 2 World Cup winning nations. Speaking of the World Cup, that tournament brought some really amazing youngsters to light, didn't it? Like the Young Player Award winner, for example, Enzo Fernandez. It was Benfica who brought him to Europe last summer after they signed him from River Plate. And the boy immediately started balling. He even put up fine performances against his national team captain, Lionel Messi, when they clashed in the Champions League. Then the World Cup came around, and that was where his talents were announced to the world. He was one of the most important players as Argentina went on to win the World Cup for the first time in nearly 4 decades. In January, Chelsea made him the most expensive signing by a British club. And even though he joined a sinking ship, his quality has still shone through.
Jeg vil altså også sige, det er ikke fordi det har været sådan prængende eller noget fra Enzo indtil videre, men han har ofte været et lyspunkt i et meget elendigt mandskab, mens han har spillet for os. Jeg har det sådan lidt med Enzo. Jeg har rigtig tænkt mig at judge nogle nye spillere so far, fordi det bare var sådan en lortesæson, de joinede i, altså for Chelsea. Men Enzo Fernandez, jeg er så sikker på, brother, han kommer til at cook under Pochettino næste sæson. Det bliver vanvittigt. Jeg glæder mig. Okay. Lad os fortsætte.
The boy is class. But he was not the only breakout star in that Argentina World Cup winning squad. There was also Julian Alvarez. This guy joined Man City in the same window as Erling Haaland. So
han var også på den anden liste med top transfers denne sæson. Var han ikke det? Eller nej, undskyld, det var undervurderede spillere. Undervurderet. Jo, det var også transfers. Det var undervurderet transfers, tror jeg det var. Jeg kan faktisk ikke huske det. Well, han var på den anden liste.
He received little to no attention.
Men meget fortjener på den
where
her
everybody
liste
began to pay attention to the boy was at the World Cup. Alvarez went into the tournament as the backup striker to Lautaro, but he soon took over the Interman as the number 1 striker. At the end of the tournament, only Mbappe and Messi were able to outscore him. But you know, there's one...
Overvej at komme ind din første VM-runde nogensinde. Casually bare være delt 3. topscorer, kun overgået af, 2 af de måske bedste spillere i verden, lige pt.
Guy who was close to destroying Alvarez's World Cup hopes in the final few seconds. His name, Kolo Muani. Breaking into the France national team is always one hell of a task because of how star-studded it is. But Kolo Muani managed to do just that. And you know what's crazy? He wasn't even supposed to be at the World Cup. It was an injury to Christopher Nkunku that forced the coach to call him up. And he didn't even get his chance until the semi-final against Morocco, when he scored just 44 seconds after he was brought off the bench. That made him the scorer of the 3rd fastest goal from off the bench in World Cup history. Because of that, the coach trusted him enough to bring him in the first half of the final to help turn things around. And he did just that, winning a penalty which Mbappe converted in the second half to begin the comeback. France eventually lost on penalties, and Kolo and Mbappe were the only French players to convert their spot kicks. Well,
jeg vil også sige, det er fandme point over, hvis han har scoret på den der chance til sidst, hvor Emiliano Martinez han redder den. Det har været sindssygt, bro. Men fortjent han er på Kolomoni.
World Cup aside though, the lad is also tearing things apart in Germany with 36 goal contributions so far this season. He currently is 2nd on the Bundesliga top scorers log. Meanwhile, this next guy we're about to talk about is 5th on the Liga 1 top scorers log. His name is Folarin Balogun. The striker, who has been an Arsenal boy since 2008, is currently on loan at Reims, and he has been tearing things up over there in France. He currently has 22 goal contributions this season. And you know what makes this really interesting? The lad is just 21. So he could force Arsenal to make a huge decision in the summer. Do they make space for him in their already packed attack? Or do they use him as a bargaining chip to get another player they need, like, say, Declan Rice? We'll have to wait and find out.
Jeg er faktisk også virkelig spændt, lige på Balogun. Jeg er virkelig spændt på, hvad de gør med Balogun, fordi det er også sådan, at man har selvfølgelig Gabriel Jesus, men honestly, altså jeg rater jo Balogun langt højere end sådan en som Nketiah, for eksempel. Så det er sådan lidt the battle of sådan, den bedste backup striker. Den er lidt svær, men det vil også, som Arsenal, altså hvis man har Arsenal, vil det også virke underligt ikke at give ham chancen. Men på den anden side, Det er et svært dilemma faktisk. Jeg er spændt på, hvad de kommer til at gøre med ham i sommeren. Hvis der er nogen andre fans, der ser med, hvad vil I foretrække? Hvad tænker I, der skal ske med Balogun næste vindue? Det er jeg virkelig interesseret i at høre.
In the Netherlands, it's Mohamed Kudus who is the breakout star. The lad has got 23 goal contributions for Ajax so far this season. And at the World Cup in 2022, he showed himself to be one of the best youngsters from Africa. His performance against South Korea was truly one for the books. We will now wrap this up with the guy, Victor Osimhen. Yeah, we know many of you had already heard about the Nigerian striker before this season.
Jeg skal også sige, jeg kan huske tydeligt, at han scorede mod Chelsea, da vi var i gruppen med, hvad var det, Lille tilbage i 1920-sæsonen. Jeg så ham literally live på Stamford Bridge. Manden er en monster. Det har han været i mange år efterhånden. Han har bare virkelig set igennem denne sæson.
But in this campaign, he went from being just a player to being an absolute superstar. Osimhen became a different beast in the 2022-23 season, and taking up the mask as part of his new identity sort of helped the rebrand.
True.
This season he's been scoring for fun. He became the highest scoring African in Serie A history, scored the goal that confirmed Napoli as Italian champions for the first time in 33 years, and he will almost certainly finish as Serie A Golden Boot winner. From being just an ordinary player last season, Osimhen is now being worshipped all over the city of Naples, and he's also named as one of the best players in Europe. Are there other breakout stars that we've missed from this season?
Ja, ærligt, det var et godt spørgsmål, han lige slutter af på her. Er der andre, de har misset? Nogle gange plejer der faktisk at være nogle gode kommentarer. Så vi lige prøve at læse dem en gang her. Hvad står der? Her. Okay. Never mind. Xavi Simons, det er faktisk true. Gør det godt for PSV den her sæson. Kammervinga, venstreback, ja, godt shout. Balde fra Barca, virkelig godt shout. Gift Orban, Sanchi, Jimenez kender jeg ikke lige. Ved du hvad? Okay, McAllister, I guess, ja, Casero, Estupinian, to be fair, Estupinian var nok også en af dem, jeg havde i tankerne. Der er rigtig mange fra Brighton, du kan smide på. Selv, brother, så har de faktisk ham der Enciso også bare nu. Hvor kom han fra? Han er også bare sindssygt, altså, for fuck's sake. Ja, anyways, det her var en virkelig fed video, så shout out to Go90, please hop ned og tjek dem ud. Link som altid til videoen nede i beskrivelsen, og jeg kan sige en tak for det som er sammen. Peace out.